Ad Lib Podcast. Today, hey guys, I think the audio was off there for a second. Hey guys, welcome back to the Ad Lib Podcast. Today is episode number 74, and I am here today to talk to you about a number of films. Joe will be joining us very, very soon, and he will be giving you a review for Furiosa. Franco will also be joining me today on the podcast, and we've got a couple of other movies to talk about. First of all, we have got Atlas to talk about, which is a recently released film on Netflix starring Jennifer Lopez, Simu Liu, Sterling K. Brown. So it's quite a packed film with regard to the cast. Hey Joe, how's it going, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It was just finishing off the introduction. I was just mentioning the films we're going to review. Mentioned Furiosa, mentioned Atlas.
Very nice.
And we've also got Boy Kills World, starring Bill Skarsgård, which we'll talk about later on as well. Apart from that, we've got some trailers to talk about. We've got a couple of trailers. First of all, we got the trailer for Beetlejuice, and the trailer for Longlegs, which last week I skipped past because we had a very packed show last week. We'll have a look at that today. With regard to news, we've not got much. We've got the box office to talk about because I think it leads to some interesting discussions with what's going on in cinema right now. I've seen a lot of discussion on X as well about what's going on with the box office this year specifically. With regard to films like Furiosa, Fall Guy, If, and others, and we'll get into that later on. We'll have a look at Cannes, have a look at the winners who won at Cannes. Unfortunately, Megalopolis did not win at Cannes, but there are some films I'm very interested in watching coming off with wins at Cannes. We've got some gaming news as well. We'll be having a look at the words mentioned by Neil Druckmann. He had a bit of a controversial quote talking about how his next game is going to redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming, but later on I'll explain why that was a bit of a mess up, a bit of a corporate mess up there. We'll get into that later on as well. He also talks about AI and how AI is going to help Naughty Dog in the creation of their future games, and we'll just discuss that as well. I'm sure Franco will have thoughts about that. If we have time, it all depends on time, then I found this very interesting article about the new Hollywood A-list. And if we have time, it all depends on the time. But if we have like 45 minutes left for reviews, I'll skip it. Maybe we'll talk about it next week because this is not a news from a particular week. But it's a list of around like 10 Hollywood A-listers. And it's interesting to see who the Hollywood Reporter look at as the big stars of the 21st century, basically, of the current years, and see if we agree with them that these are like the real A-listers we have right now. There's one I think you might disagree with, Joe, but we'll find out later on. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Particular blonde person.
I mean, I won't deny that she's a movie star. She definitely is. She's extremely well known. That's what defines a movie star. People will go see things just because she's in it, not because they're good, because they really are.
And to be fair, after the success of Anyone But You, it's one of the few success stories of this year. So there's that as well. That's pretty much what we have for you in store today. Joe, I think we can actually start off now by talking a little bit about our week, what you've been up to. So what have you been up to, Joe?
A lot of work. Unfortunately, I had the very, very tumultuous time of we had our awards season dinner at work, so preparing all the stuff for that. I had to go to Malta at the weekend for a wedding as well, so it was nice but disruptive. I don't think you and Franco knew, but I turned 30 on Tuesday as well.
Oh shit! No, I had no idea.
I'm finally part of you old dudes.
Oh shit! We're all 30 plus now.
the Padawan becomes the Jedi finally. But no, I have managed to watch some things as well. Namely, I got to see my most anticipated film of the year in Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. And I also watched as well, probably very little known. It dropped on Netflix last Thursday, a little series called Tires, because I'm a big fan of the comedian Shane Gillis, and it was something which he funded himself with people he works with. And overall, I mean, I watched it all because it's extremely short. It's only 6 episodes of about 20 to 25 minutes each. So I was having to get the train to work for because I had car trouble, and I watched it in 2 train trips. Like, so I basically
Okay.
watched it in a day. But I really, really liked it. There's a lot of like critics being like, "Oh, this show is like totally about nothing," but it is like, it's a very easy and lighthearted and funny like workplace comedy. And
Okay. All right.
I like those a lot. And as I said, I like the man who we're seeing here, Shane Gillis, a lot, and he brings a lot of people who've been on his podcast before into the show as well. The acting can be a little bit like hit and miss, but I think it works for something like this because they're not going for something prestige. Like they're trying to
100%.
make jokes in like a very tiny like workplace thing. There was also like a lot of criticism being like, oh, like with all of Netflix's money, this is like all done in like one location kind of thing. It's because it got picked up by Netflix. It wasn't produced by Netflix.
Okay.
As I said,
So
it
just
was
released.
funded. It was funded mostly by himself and others. Like it was a very personal project for them because he used to work as a car salesman and as a mechanic for a time. So if anyone wants something really easy, really lighthearted, and pretty damn funny, I highly recommend that.
Okay.
That's
Nice.
basically my week. Other than that, I've just been working.
All right. What's a busy week, Mela? My case, watched a few series. I just finished the latest episode of The Sympathizer. Watched episode 7 of that. Still going strong. I think episode 7 was probably one of the stronger episodes of this season. Very strong emotional moments in this one. Endings are hard, aren't they? Makes a reference to a quote from this particular episode. I've been having a very good time watching this. I think the direction is, the director is Mark Munden. Mark Munden, familiar with the guy? Joe, I don't know if you've watched anything by him.
The name definitely rings a bell. Oh, he did Help. Okay, I like that movie.
Okay. But the style is very much Park Chan-wook. So if I didn't see this, I would have assumed that the episode was also directed by Park Chan-wook because you have the classic, Park Chan-wook dolly zooms. He loves doing that stuff. The movement from the camera. It's classic Park Chan-wook, and I think the style he brings to this show really sets it apart from the rest that is on television right now. I think the direction on this is great. It's really good stuff. I think it's very good. Hoa Xuan there, who I've never seen before. I think it's actually his first film, his first series. Don't know if he's ever worked on anything particularly big before, but this is his first big role, and I think he does a fantastic job as well in this. Robert Downey Jr. as well. He has like 10, 12 different roles in this show, and they're all very entertaining, and that kind of comes to a climax in this episode, and it kind of explains a little bit why and what's going on there with the whole Robert Downey Jr. of it all. And then it's good stuff. It's good stuff. I think it's a very, very solid series. I think it will do very well at the Emmys as well. I think this will be a big hit with the Emmys. It's the kind of prestige TV that the Emmys certainly love. I watched Dark Matter as well. Joe, I don't think you've started Dark Matter, have you?
No, I was tempted to because I recently got 3 months free of Apple TV Plus. That's
Apple TV Plus.
yeah. Well, one thing I didn't mention. I mean, I'm late to the party by about 2 years, but I started Blackbird as well.
Yes, you mentioned
because I'd heard many good things. I like the cast, and so far, I'm really enjoying it. Like, I mean, enjoying is a weird thing to say about that show, but it's very good. It's very, very good.
Wasn't it Paul Walter Hauser is so? Oh God, he's so creepy in that show.
For me,
which episode are you on, Joe?
I think I'm on episode 6 now.
Okay. How many? Wasn't it 6 episodes or?
I don't
6.
think so.
How many episodes was it? Yeah, 6 episodes.
6. Then I guess I'm on the last one. Am I?
You're
Yeah, no, I watched 5, so I'm on the last
5.
one, so I'll finish that.
So you have to watch the last one. Okay. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. I mean, I loved all the episodes.
I think Taron Egerton is fantastic in it. Like, he's always someone that I've kind of liked, but he's really, really great at it.
It's the kind of role that's the perfect role for him, right? I think kind of like rich guy who's humbled and has to
very, very nice, but also really sad to see Ray Liotta in it as well.
Yes, this was his last role, I believe. This was
his last TV role, yeah.
He had another film.
It would have been his film. Unfortunately, I believe was Cocaine Bear, which was his final film.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah, that's a rough one. But
Yeah, it's not nice to end on that. But
we'll say this was his final role.
yeah, he has actually has quite a strong role in this. He's the
very
father,
good.
right? If I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a strong emotional moments as well in Blackbird. I remember a good performance. Yeah, I liked Blackbird a lot when it came. That was a couple of years ago now, I believe. Yeah, 2022.
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah. I can't. After watching episode 5, I can't believe there's only one episode left. Like, I don't know how they're going to wrap it up, but I guess I'll find out.
Yeah, it's a couple of years now have passed, but if I remember correctly, it wraps up really well. So I remember leaving the show really happy with the way it all works out. But yeah, I've been watching Dark Matter, which I recommend. I think the latest episode is probably the strongest of all the episodes. Like visually, there's some really good CGI stuff going on in episode 4. They're basically, episode 4 is the episode where the directors and the writers kind of like explore the whole concept of, I don't know if it's really multiverses, but it kind of is multiverses. Like every decision you take opens up like infinite other possibilities. So I guess it is multiverses in a way. But the visual exploration of the different possibilities is fantastic. I think visually for a TV show, they're doing some really impressive stuff. Like the CGI on this is so much better than a film we're going to talk about later on, which is Atlas. Obviously, Apple have lots of money to throw at stuff like this. But Apple have been really pulling it off, really giving us some really good prestige TV as well. That's pretty much it with regard to television shows. I haven't started The Big Cigar. I wanted to start it, but just did not have the time.
Yeah, that's on Apple TV Plus as well. I intended to start it when I was flying back from Malta. I started Blackbird instead.
I think Blackbird is a good show to watch. Probably I would watch Blackbird first, and I'd watch this as well. Dark Matter is very good. Then I watched a couple of films. Joe, don't know if you were to how you are with Michelangelo Antonioni, but this was my first Michelangelo Antonioni, La Notte. It's a 1961 film. I watched it with my family. Had a very good time watching it. I think some of the cinematography in this is excellent. It's really impressive stuff. It's portrayal of architecture, because this is set in Milan, basically, and it's a kind of, Milan is obviously changing into the urban, massive city that we know it now as, and you can see the final little bit of transition from what it was to what it is and what it will be, right? And it's a great film. There's Monica Vitti as well in this, who is incredibly sexy in this. She's so good. As are obviously Marcello Mastroianni and Jean Moreau, who are also fantastic in this. I think it's one of those films, if you love film, that you have to watch. Like the performances, the cinematography, and so on. Hello, Franco. I'm just finishing off talking about La Notte.
Just in time for La Notte. It's a hot take, by the way, about this. I'll be back just a second. Hello to everyone watching us as well, by the way.
What's the hot take? He's gonna have a hot take in a sec. But yeah, I think this is fantastic stuff. Had a very good time. Franco, what's your hot take?
I didn't like this at all. I thought it was. Funny enough, I thought this was very pretentious. There will be a time for evaluation. I know, it's a shocker. I know.
But which part did you think? Because the film is pretty much split up into two. It's literally two films. The first half, which is the exploration of Milan, and the second half, which is set in the villa, basically.
Let me see if I remember correctly. Basically, it's Jean Moreau and Marcello Mastroianni being a married couple, and they're having some marital problems, right?
Yes, they go see the leftist friend, who's basically in the process of dying, and it's basically it helps Jean Moreau's character reevaluate like the relationship.
Yeah, and then he chases Monica Vitti, right?
And then he chases Monica Vitti. Who wouldn't chase Monica Vitti? I mean,
I would chase her, but the problem is I really didn't enjoy this movie. Again, it's this is going to be like a civil war. I'm going to rewatch it again to reevaluate it. Maybe because it was a bit too bourgeois. I don't know if I've seen something else by Antonioni, but yeah, listen. All things said and done, you are right about the architecture and his. If I didn't enjoy the story, I really enjoyed the cinematography. It was great, so well composed. The shots were very well composed. Content-wise, not for me. And I saw that you commented on the corridor of Dark Matter. That was such a good episode. I just watched it before I came in.
Oh, the visual representation of the multiverses was really
so
impressive.
Good. It's so good.
And even the variation, man, why can't Marvel do that? Like, offer that kind of visual variation, not the same old shit. Like, give something different. Like, even just visually, stylistically, give us something a little different. Jesus.
What does Joe think? The resident.
I think they like money too much to give a shit about actually changing things up. But
that's you're so right, man.
Like that scene, Joe. That scene that you just saw at the beginning of the trailer with the buildings collapsing. That was such a impactful scene. So such a scary.
Yeah, that was no very. How scary it was! Like
why can't Marvel do that when portraying the multiverses? It's like.
No, it's very theory heavy as well, especially with what the quantum entanglement and whatnot. So there's that, and I'm actually looking forward to read the book now.
I'm curious if the book gets more into the science, because to be honest, I'm not a very sciencey guy. So the fact that Dark Matter doesn't really explore too much, like hints at it, but that's it, right? It doesn't get bogged down with the science of it all. That helps someone stupid like me to appreciate it more. I'm curious if the book, however, what the book does. I'm guessing it does get a bit more into it. I don't know. Obviously, I haven't.
Could be. I mean, a book you always have that sort of more time to explore. By the way, another hot take. Would you see Joel Edgerton and Barry Keoghan playing as brothers?
Joel Edgerton and Barry Keoghan playing brothers.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yes.
They have some similarity, like the nose and the bones in their face structure. I was like, Barry Keoghan could play a younger version of Joel Edgerton.
And I think talking about Joel Edgerton, and I'll conclude on Dark Matter with this. I think the way he portrays the different characters, different versions of himself, is so good. Yes. So impressive.
He's really good. Even Connolly.
Connolly.
In this episode, the emotional baggage is there.
Really good. So I've been having a good time with this. One last thing I watched this week. Then Franco, I'll hand it over to you. I watched this with Tristian because I finally got the Blu-ray for it. I've been looking forward to getting the Blu-ray, and I watched the TV version of it. It's Fanny and Alexander. 320 minutes of Fanny and Alexander. I split it into 3 parts. It's 5 episodes long, but I split it up into 3 parts. Basically, I got the Blu-ray for it. The colors, man, are so good on Blu-ray.
Let me do that GIF.
This is amazing. It's like a 5 out of 5 if ever there existed one.
It's one of my favorite Bergmans. After Persona, this might
I'd say Persona is my favorite, but this is probably my second favorite.
Illustra, and the costumes. What was Sven Nykvist, right?
Sorry?
Sven Nykvist is the cinematographer.
Yes, I believe so. Yes. Sven Nykvist. The Y is a
Nykvist.
I love their accents. Their accents sometimes they make me laugh the way they speak.
Curdy.
Alexander. They make me laugh. Sometimes they make me laugh. But no, this is really good. Like the whole Christmas scene, like the whole Christmas meal scene. If it was done by someone else, that could be so boring. But like visually, there's so much beautiful stuff going on for like an hour and a half. Imagine. I don't know. Have you watched it, Joe?
No, it's actually Bergman's one of my blind spots. The only thing I've seen is Persona.
Okay. he used to be one of my blind spots, but recently I've been watching a lot of his stuff. I've been getting a lot of his Blu-rays. And
My two major
well
blind
worth.
spots are Bergman and Lynch.
Okay, all right.
Lich, really?
Yeah, Lynch I've only seen. Well, no, to be fair, then I did go back and watch Twin Peaks, so I guess it's a little bit less because there's a lot of Twin Peaks.
Okay.
But I've only seen feature film-wise Mulholland Drive.
All right.
Actually, no. Then I saw his one. What's the one with Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern?
Not True Romance.
No.
Ilallo. It's a Wizard of Oz reimagining, right?
Wild at Heart.
That's
Wild
the
at
one,
Heart,
Wild at
yes.
Heart.
That's
I haven't
yeah.
watched Wild at Heart.
Yeah.
The typical Cage, basically.
What do you think about Twin Peaks, Joe? Because me and Tricia were going to start it. We watched a couple of episodes, but I don't know why we never continued it.
Overall, I haven't seen the movies that they made, like Fire Walk with Me. I need to actually get to that. It's really good, but it's a challenge at the same time because it is quite weird because, David Lynch says himself, it is out and out a soap opera, and it's very, very soap opera-y in its nature. Mm-hmm. But the first season is really good and kind of ends in a weird way, but as you would expect seasons to end, I guess. And season 2 is 3 times as long. I believe season 1 is 6 episodes, and then season 2 is 24 episodes. And they're nearly an hour long. And there's actually, I found through Reddit and stuff, there's a long running thing with a lot of Twin Peaks fans. They're season 2 is good, but about 9 hours of it are shit.
Didn't they make the film to cut out all the shit then?
Yeah.
Fire Walk with Me.
So I've heard then Fire Walk with Me just makes up for that 9 hours of not being.
Oh,
And to be
okay.
fair, I got through it, and the 9 hours isn't shit because it's made by David Lynch, but it's just it kind of goes nowhere for about 9 hours.
All right.
But overall, I really liked it. I mean, because I'm a big fan of the Alan Wake games, and they're so
the vibe is
directly
there.
inspired. Not just the vibe. They're even the story and the structure is so inspired by Twin Peaks. So I enjoyed it. If you can get over also the quality of the image as well. I saw them through Paramount Plus on Amazon, so I was streaming them at the highest quality, but obviously because they were made in the 90s and filmed on potatoes, they kind of look like potato at some points.
That's one of the things that put me off a little bit, to be honest. The image quality. I'm curious if I can get the Blu-rays for them. Maybe they look better. I got.
I don't know if they've had a proper restoration, because with those old digital ones, it's tough to do. It's not like an actual analog print.
Yeah, that's the issue. But yeah, to conclude on Fanny and Alexander, I think this is a must-watch for anyone who loves film. I think the integration of theater into the story is marvelous. Some of the monologues are insane. Actually, I loved the monologues, but that was one of my struggles in the film. Obviously it's all in Swedish, so the struggle with trying to look at their face and reading the monologues at the same time was one of my small struggles with this film. But apart from that, some of the camera work in this is just incredible. The sets are out of this world impressive. Also a very expensive film. Cost 6-7 million, I believe, dollars more or less.
One of his most expensive endeavors. Yep.
Yeah, but I think it's well worth it. I believe it won 4 Oscars as well. Won Best Foreign, obviously, Best Set Design, Best Costume Design, and Best Cinematography. So this is one of the best films I've ever watched. Period. Boom.
I would suggest reading his autobiography, The Magic Lantern.
Okay. It must be an interesting watch. I love them also the way he adds in the ghosts into the whole story. The ghosts,
yes.
the integration of the magical in the very realistic portrayal of what's going on, but a little bit of magical, right? And he said apparently it's something he remembers from his childhood as well, where he used to see a lot of ghosts everywhere. It's very autobiographical as a film. I do get the vibe that's very, very autobiographical. I mean, I know he hated religion, so that's very clearly there. I know he hated autocratic father figures, and that's
oh my god, yes.
I mean the main theme of this whole film. So I think it's very, very, very autobiographical. But yeah, really impressive stuff.
Just,
Anyways,
just gonna say a quick hello. Hola, Wendy. ¿Cómo estás? There's a Colombian viewer watching us
hello,
right
hello.
now.
What's their name, Franco?
Wendy.
Wendy. Hello, Wendy. Nice to have you here. So, Franco,
I hope you like
go for it.
movies. Just a second. Excuse me.
All right, we're finished.
Mela, I
What have
think
you been
I
up to,
watched.
Franco?
I watched Dark Matter.
Yes.
Oh wait, let me pick up my letterbox because Wendy confused me. Sorry. So my letterbox. What did I watch? So I watched Fall Guy with my father. Again, the stunts are amazing. Although to be honest, I expected more action in the movie. And again, Joe was right. Before I said something about charisma. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds carried this movie on his charisma alone. That's it. And I feel David Leitch. This is David Leitch, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
David Leitch. Yeah.
He needs a good writer because he still cannot. Seeing a Bullet Train and seeing this one, he still cannot manage to gel exactly the humor and the romance.
I think the humor was very good in this. I laughed so much in this film.
Not as much, to be honest. That's good. That's a good segue actually to what I watched later on. Then I managed to binge because it's each episode is like 10 minutes. Smiling Friends, and yeah, it's got the animation is like Rick and Morty.
What the
Humor.
goddamn fuck is this?
Yeah, that's actually a shrimp. The small guy is a shrimp, and he's
What's the other one? A banana?
I don't know. No, he was a homunculus when he was young. That's what he described himself as. And yeah, basically the shrimp he went to give the shrimp a 10, and that's why he came out all blistered. But yeah, this is surreal humor. It's the kind of Gen Z humor as well. But I think one of my favorite sequences of it all is basically the red guy is called Alan, and he's tasked to go buy paper clips. And there's a moment in a shop where he goes in a place called Crimeville, basically. And when he comes into the shop owner goes, please don't rob me, immediately. And there's an exchange which is amazing. I think there's a bit of Monty Python, Rick and Morty. If that's your kind of humor, I suggest you watch this. And again, it's very, as you can see, each episode averages 12 minutes, so very easily digestible as well.
Okay.
And you can find it online as well. Smiling Friends season 2, so it's quite easily accessible. And Gleb, so there's Gleb, Ellen, and I think Charlie, and I think this is Pim. The pink guy is Pim, and Gleb, like some of the gags is just like you hear people mumble and they're like, yeah, you're right. You know, it's just what the hell are you saying? But it's my kind. It tickles my bone, basically my funny bone.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also watched Boy Kids World, which we're gonna review later on.
Yep.
Bill Skarsgård is a great character. Anyway, I'll tell you more about. We'll speak more about this later on.
Did you watch Atlas, Franco?
No, I don't have time to waste. Sorry. I mean, it's a shame, because it looks great, but apparently the story was nothing to write home about.
I'll talk about the story later on. No worry.
I don't want to sound like a film broy judgmental dickhead, but this is a Netflix sci-fi film starring Jennifer Lopez. Are we expecting anything.
But also starring Simu,
No.
Sterling K. Brown.
And Mark Strong.
So
And I mean, Mark Strong has been in a lot of shit stuff, but he's a great
Mark,
actor.
I was gonna say Mark Strong is the king of the paycheck. Like,
He is.
But-
Very
hold
hardworking,
on.
but he's in so much shit, man.
Hold on. Listen. Even what's his name? The guy who was the my names escape me. The guy who played the musician in Whiplash, not the musician, the teacher, the Boston.
oh,
teacher.
J.K. Simmons.
Yeah,
J.K. Simmons, thank you. J.K.
Yeah.
Simmons. It was on the tip of my tongue. Yeah, J.K. Simmons is also, let's say, he's a very generous actor. He's in everything almost. Like, remember Palm Springs? And then down there's something coming out called, let me check. What's it called? Because I've seen it and it doesn't seem highly rated. If I'm not, yeah, You Can't Run Forever.
Yes, 10 upcoming projects.
Quite a
Bad Girl. That's not upcoming, dude.
Yeah, there's Invincible. He's a great Omni-Man.
Yes, yeah, but that's a good show. That's a good show.
Oh, SNL 1975. Oh my God. But yeah, You Can't Run Forever. He was in Spaceman as well.
He was.
Gets around.
Man, I watched that film and I remember nothing about it. Literally nothing. I watched Spaceman and I remember absolutely nothing about it.
Not even the spider.
Just the spider. That's the only part I remember is the spider. Creepy spider. Jesus Christ, man. That spider gave me nightmares. Anything else, Franco?
That's it so far. I think I'm gonna continue watching Dark Matter.
Yes.
Maybe I'll start Outer Range because it seems the second season is out and it's improved a lot, especially story-wise.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, more sci-fi to me.
All right, well, let's get into it. And viewers and listeners, let us know in the comment section below what you have been up to, what you've been watching. We'd love to hear that. And without further ado, let's get into the trailers. We can get through these trailers, I think, very quickly. We'll start off with the first one, which is, we've talked about it a little bit already. I'd love to hear what Joe thinks about the upcoming Beetlejuice 2, which is coming out very soon. Actually, it's coming out in September, no, so not that soon. But Warner Brothers has released a new trailer for Beetlejuice, the follow-up to the 1988 comedy horror classic. Michael Keaton returns as the foul-mouthed shape-shifting ghoul, joined by new cast members John Ortega, Willem Dafoe, Monica Bellucci, and Justin Theroux. Also reprising their roles from the original film are Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara. So, I mean, a pretty stacked cast there. It sees the Dietz clan move back into their Winter River home after a sudden death in the family when Lydia's rebellious teen daughter Astrid, that's Jen Ortega, discovers a portal to the afterlife hidden in the basement, the name of the mischievous spirit. Beetlejuice is inevitably repeated 3 times, inviting him to wreak havoc in the Dietz family home once again. Joe, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about the upcoming Beetlejuice film?
I mean, I haven't seen the trailer. In fact, I've been very bad. I haven't seen like any of the new trailers that we're going to talk about today. I don't know. I don't have a relationship to the first one. I think I watched it when I was far too young and don't really remember it. And it sounds dismissive, but I just don't really care. It's got a good cast. Okay. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not. I don't have a very strong opinion about it.
Mm-hmm. Franco.
Can you do me a favor? Can you pull up the original Beetlejuice? And because I'm seeing the makeup, there's not even the makeup. There's no effort whatsoever. Even Michael Keaton's like, why the hell am I doing this? Almost.
Because he's getting a very big paycheck.
That's for sure.
Ask and I shall provide.
So not that lighting. If you can put some close up compared with another close up. So if you go back to the images, you can see.
There you go. I haven't watched the original film. So I can't really comment about it.
The original was fun, like classic Tim Burton, nothing to fault it about. There's that grotesque Halloween humor, black horror humor,
Uh-huh.
So no, black comedy and horror.
It feels like they're going for a more CGI look in the new one. This is pretty much all practical, right?
Look,
I can tell.
look at the contrast, man. Why are we afraid of contrast? See,
the lighting. I think there's something. I think cinematographers today have something with the lighting. I don't know what it is.
but is it Netflix, by the way? Is this a Netflix thing as well?
No. But it does have a little bit of the Netflix look from what I saw from the trailer, to be honest. It doesn't have the strong contrast that you always mention.
And even the makeup is like there's see the makeup looks much more. He's supposed to be like a rotting corpse. Like you see. Now we go back to the modern one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the practical makeup is so good.
But this image feels like it's been touched on a little bit, like digitally something has happened to this image, right?
And then,
compared to what we were looking at on IMDb. I don't know if they have the trailer here.
I feel yes, yeah, there's not the same light. There's not the same light. Different cinematographer for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it has that TV look, so to speak. It's like the
Netflix look we've all been talking about.
Mm.
The Netflix look we've all been talking about, basically.
It looks generic. Maybe he's also cashing checks as well, Tim Burton.
I mean, to be fair, Wednesday looked great. I thought Wednesday as a TV show looked fantastic. I know it was, people talked about. I mean, it was the most viewed English language show on Netflix.
Okay.
So it was a massive hit. I know, because it was popular. Some people don't like stuff because it's popular. I enjoyed it for what it was. I had a very good time watching Wednesday. But visually, it was quite impressive, actually. Hopefully, can do more of that with Beetlejuice. My hopes aren't high though, to be honest.
No,
I agree with you, Franco. The trailer does not look special at all. You know what does look special though is the trailer for Longlegs, because that.
Hey.
I've heard a lot of good things about this one, but I haven't seen the trailer yet as well.
Good time. Yes, a lot of very positive reviews, Joe. I've heard a lot of very positive reviews about it.
Is
the Longlegs trailer.
Is that
Franco?
Nicolas Cage? Just oh my god. No, anyway, go for it.
So the Longlegs trailer shows the FBI searching for Nicolas Cage's deeply disturbed killer, written and directed by Osgood Perkins, the son of Psycho star Anthony Perkins. The upcoming horror film follows a female FBI agent assigned to the cold case of a serial killer played by Nicolas Cage. As evidence of the occult is uncovered and the case becomes increasingly complex, she discovers a personal connection to the killer and must move swiftly to stop another family member from being murdered. The cast also includes Micah Monroe, Alicia Witt, and Blair Underwood. Franco, you've watched the trailer of Longlegs. What are your thoughts about it?
I look forward. Speaking of cinematography, already there's style in this horror. Glad to see Micah Monroe back. Looking forward to see what Nick Cage is going to be doing in this one, but I think there was his voice as well. You remember that voice, the voice of Robert Pattinson in Boy and the Heron?
Yes.
And there has that
How
particular
could
voice.
one forget that?
He's doing. I feel like he's doing a particular voice, so I'm really looking forward. Look at that lighting, man! So nice. That chiaroscuro lighting. This is a horror, And no, I did notice. No, because those signs show up in the trailer. Let's see. Osgood Perkins. I didn't know he's also an Nepo baby with Anthony Perkins being Anthony Perkins' son.
Isn't everyone a nepo baby in Hollywood at the moment?
Well, pretty much.
Even Joe Paolella's a nepo baby. that's what I hear.
From what I've read, Joe, because I know you mentioned that there's been some very positive reactions to it. From what I remember reading, but this is a long time ago, I remember them mentioning Seven. Reminds them very strongly of like Seven and stuff like Zodiac. Those kind of vibes. We're talking about those vibes, and I think I mean,
it's Fincher-esque.
Fincher-esque, indeed.
What's that meme? Like you don't have to sell it to me. I'm
already.
The meme with Tobey Maguire and James Franco's like, it's okay. You don't have to sell it to me.
My wallet is out already. By the way, talking about my wallet is out already, Joe, because I know you're a big fan of this stuff as well. There's the Crow 4K Blu-ray out, just released, and apparently it looks stunning. I can only imagine how the Crow looks like in 4K Blu-ray.
Yeah, one I'm looking forward to. It got announced for pre-order, a 4K restoration and like box set of all 5 of the Mad Max films, so including Furiosa as well.
I have the 4 box set.
They're gonna release a big 5 box with apparently even more special features than there were before. So that might be £99 I have to spend.
Damn. I have the 4 box set 4K restoration with Fury Road and the other 3. I watched Mad Max on Blu-ray. Man, that film was impressive. That film was impressive. Like, the stuff they did with like a 2 cents of a budget is incredible. Like some of the crashes on that, I'm like, I think someone died.
I genuinely don't know throughout the entire production of all 5 Mad Max films how no one has died.
I don't get it either. There are some scenes in the first Mad Max where I'm like, someone definitely died in that scene. And they must have
but I mean, that was kind of in the 70s when they just kind of said like, fuck it, we'll do it anyway, kind of thing. Like when they did the French Connection, they're like, we need to have a car chase down this really busy road in Chicago. Shall we block the road? No. William Friedkin
on a wheelchair. That shot he was filming on a wheelchair, basically.
Yeah, we needed to look busy. I mean, we don't have the budget to buy people to drive cars around us. We'll just film it when it's busy.
French Connection. So basically, if I'm not mistaken, the pram scene was not planned. And when Friedkin saw, it's like, okay, let's do it again, but at this time, it's stunt. They do a stunt of it.
Friedkin, also known for not really caring about his actors and actresses' well-being as well.
In fact, Russell Crowe is doing a movie about that, so to speak. The Exorcism.
No.
I'm surprised Russell Crowe isn't just like doing more gigs in Malta and promoting Gladiator 2 when he's not even in it. But
making a lot of money off that.
Yeah.
Talking about big action sequences, one cannot fail to mention Furiosa. And later on, Joe will be giving us his review for Furiosa. But Furiosa had a big battle on its hands this weekend. And the big battle it had was beating a big orange cat, Garfield, at the box office, which it managed to, but very narrowly. And this pains me to say it, but that's the news, right? Furiosa's box office just barely beats the Garfield movie in a record low Memorial Day weekend. This past weekend saw the release of a number of high-profile films for the holiday weekend. Furiosa Mad Max Saga is the much-anticipated prequel, obviously, to Mad Max Fury Road. Garfield is the animated feature. With regard to the numbers, Furiosa made an estimated 32 million domestically, 32 million total. Garfield made 24 million over the weekend and an estimated 31.1 million, including the holiday. But with regard to the box office, it's been quite a disaster, and it's been quite a disaster for a few weeks now. Joe, we've seen Fall Guy, we've seen now Furiosa, disappointing at the box office. What's going on?
I don't really have an answer. It's a really, really weird time where it feels like after the fever pitch of Dune Part 2, that now general audiences just like aren't really bothered to go back because like I guess Dune was so like totemic and it was promoted really, really well. It had the popcorn bucket backing it as well. But I don't like this. This is historically a very big day, a big weekend for films in the US in particular as well. But even something, I mean, despite the Garfield film probably not being very good, even for that to do so poorly on a weekend like this is really strange because you would think that on this kind of like free weekend, people would just take their young kids to the cinema and watch anything.
I mean, Top Gun came out on the Memorial Day weekend, and we know
how
that did.
I mean, that is a strike of genius to put a film like that on Memorial Day weekend. But I don't know. It's really strange. I mean, to be fair, none of the Mad Max movies historically are like complete like blockbuster big earners, but this is definitely the one that is probably performing the worst overall.
Fury Road
budget
made 45 million when it released opening weekend.
Yeah, so I mean, it is quite a bit more, but it's not also like it's absolutely blown it out of the water. It hasn't made 90 million in its first weekend. It's made what 13 more million on what this one has, which I just don't have an answer. It seemed like general audiences were enjoying these really, really big kind of like epic films. I mean, this is going to sound maybe a little bit short-sighted. But I think if you compare this to something like Dune Part 2, I think it's easier to go on a date to go and watch Dune Part 2 than it is to go and watch Furiosa and Mad Max Saga.
Depends.
Wait. No. And I think it is as well because in Dune Part 2, you've got people like Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet leading that film, who everyone and their dog knows who those people are. Now, we know people like Chris Hemsworth. I mean, Chris Hemsworth is Thor, but he's not pretty good-looking Chris Hemsworth in these films. He's a demented, like, sicko villain.
Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy, I would say they're two big pulls.
I mean, what was the last really, really big film that Anya Taylor-Joy did? Now, she was big in The Queen's Gambit, yes.
Queen's Gambit, that's what I was going to mention, yeah.
Yeah,
The Menu.
And The Menu was a big hit as well. Like...
big considering its budget, but it's not like she doesn't have that same movie stardom.
No, it's not a 400 million film, but
exactly.
I mean, her name was quite there, right?
She's more the person when people see Timothée Chalamet or Zendaya, they go, "That's Timothée Chalamet, that's Zendaya." When people see Anya Taylor-Joy, and I'm talking regular moviegoers, like people that would rather sit at home and watch it on Netflix, for example, they probably see Anya Taylor-Joy and they go, "That's the woman from The Queen's Gambit." And that's the difference there.
Hold on. She was also in Dune Part 2 as well. Just
like for literally a split second.
True.
So
and instead of having a baby,
I think it's easier to, as I said, like in this very probably short-sighted statement from myself, it's easier to go on a date and sell it as a movie as this is a really big science fiction film. And you could probably lie and say it's like akin to something like Star Wars, and they go, "Oh, who's in it?" And you say, "Oh, Timothée Chalamet's in there," and they go, "I'm in." Then, do you want to go and watch a 2.5-hour film with a bunch of people that look like they're part of the insane clown posse, and it's with the girl, it's with the guy who played Thor and with the actress from The Queen's Gambit? You know, one is a much easier sell than the other. And again, Mad Max has never ever been this extremely lucrative property. It's got an extremely vocal and adoring fan base, but it's and as well, I think it also suffers a little bit from that lack of recency bias. Like Fury Road came out in 2015.
Yeah,
almost 10 years.
Yep.
You know, and I mean, then because there was a whole thing, the big lawsuit with George Miller and Warner Brothers, where he was quite literally forced to make another movie which wasn't a Mad Max film before he got to make a Mad Max film. So that led to it taking even longer. His movies take a long time to make. COVID got in the way as well. So there's a lot of factors. But
Happy Feet? No,
he made 1,000 Years of Longing.
Oh, yeah, okay. I haven't watched that.
Neither have I. But I think as I said, to come back to the original thing here, it's not a case of people aren't going to go and watch Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. people are just not going to the cinema in general, which is, I think, a bigger question to take on.
Yep. Franco, what's your take on all of this?
I don't know. I mean, this is a movie that needs to be watched in the cinemas. Spectacular action, and especially when Joe said this is more reminiscent of Lawrence of Arabia than Mad Max Fury Road. Even more so, it's interesting. I mean, even Garfield, like you'd expect, since it's a more family-friendly movie, that it would pull in people. Memorial Day, or maybe there's like I think I think the Americans are watching the reality show called the Trump Court Case, most probably.
True.
Which is much more entertaining that way. Who knows? Or are they campaigning as well?
They're campaigning as well. Yeah, I saw one of Trump's rallies this weekend with Hasanabi and
Austin Shaw.
No, Hasanabi with
AOC.
AOC with AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah. On this argument, I would say it's been disappointing for a lot of films. So I mentioned if disappointingly as well at the box office. What else has been disappointing recently? The Fall Guy as well. Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. That's another disappointment as well. So all these films have been disappointing. People aren't going to the cinema. That's an unfortunate reality of things right now. But then you get a big event film, and that makes a lot of money. A big event film.
Look, Andrea, compared to Malta, because relatively speaking, Malta ticket is very cheap. €9 is very cheap. In America, it costs almost $20, and it's costing even more. Like, apparently, I saw a family that has moved to America, and they couldn't believe how expensive everything is. Like even to take their kids for taekwondo class. So there's that. Plus, again, if it's again, unlike Malta as well, most of the cinemas over there is just AMC, very franchises. So either they like blast cinemas all with like things like Garfield rather than Furiosa. So there's that. Depends on. Yeah, by the way, actually, speaking of which, how was the distribution of Furiosa? Was it limited release or full time?
No, full release. Just in Malta, for some reason, Malta didn't release this on Friday. It's releasing on Wednesday for some reason. I don't know what happened there. I really don't know what happened there. But the release in Malta was a mess. I don't get it. I really don't get it how you can lose all the hype, because we get the hype from America, right? We don't generate our own hype. We get the hype from America.
Listen, I was looking at the tickets. They're like maybe we can check the tickets. Last I checked this morning, there we could have gone and booked immediately, opening night at Valletta. So
was good. Anyways, moving on. So, guys, as you know, recently there was Cannes Film Festival. And I'm just going to give you a quick look at the winners. And I'm curious to see if there are any of these films that have piqued your interest. So, starting off with the big one, Anora, directed by Sean Baker, which looks fantastic from the few from the few shots I've seen of it. Looks great. All We Imagine as Light. This is Bollywood, I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
Payal Kapadia.
Payal Kapadia. Miguel Gomez with Grand Tour. Jesse Plemons winning for Best Actor, Kinds of Kindness. I think we're all very excited for that. Actress is Emilia Perez, and jury prize also going to Emilia Perez. A special award going to The Seed of the Sacred Fig. This is another film that I'm really looking forward to watching. The Substance, directed by Coralie Fargeet. Don't know if you've had a look at any of these films, guys, or if any of them have really piqued your interest.
I've had a brief look, yes. The Substance is one I did outline as what I definitely want to see. Sean Baker, I'll watch anything that he does, to be honest. And obviously then Kinds of Kindness. Are the really big ones.
That's another blind spot for me. Sean Baker, he had Florida Project. He's got Red. What was that? With Red. What was his name? With Simon Rex. Florida Project. Then he had this one with Simon Rex. Now this Anora as well looks interesting. Funny enough, the only thing I've seen of his is the one he did with the iPhone 5s, Tangerine.
Oh, he made Tangerine. Lallo.
Yes.
Okay. I
A
knew
shot
his name
on
sounded
a-
familiar.
Shot on an iPhone 5s. I think
Oh,
he had
nice.
I don't know what was it, like he was quite down in the dumps as far as filmmaking career was, and he said, okay, let me get the iPhone 5, and he shot the whole movie with it. Gimbal, no professional actors. Can I see the filmography? I cannot remember the one with Simon Rex of Sean Baker.
Oh, Sean Baker.
Red Rocket.
Red Rocket.
Flacha.
Oh, Red Rocket. I haven't
was
watched that
good.
one.
Red Rocket was good. It's a good little film.
I haven't watched this one. It was there on my watch list. I had to watch that. And you know how it goes.
Yeah,
Just
this
numbers
is
around
this
it.
is it's an A24 as well. By the way, I have to say, Neon is really giving A24 a run for its money.
Yes,
Yeah?
Anora is neon, Filfat.
The Neon.
Anora is neon. Yeah.
I believe Neon has won the Palme d'Or the last 5 years in a row.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Anatomy of a Fall, Parasite. Yeah, they're quite they're rubbing it in A24's faces.
I don't.
This looks really good. This
Has A24 had any big releases at Cannes? It's had a couple, I think, but I don't think in main competition, because the Lighthouse was there, but it was in Director's Fortnight. It wasn't in the main one.
Yes. I have to. I
Zone of
actually got
Interest.
a Neon
I
as
think.
well, right?
That's
Yeah.
A24. No Zone of Interest.
It is, yeah. I don't know. I believe it's. They bought it at Cannes. They bought the distribution rights.
Okay.
Okay.
I think Zone of Interest production was, I want to say, Film 4.
Yes. I speak in the meantime. I'd love to watch. I actually got a copy of Revenge by Corey I think Corey Farja. Nasab. She's French, you have to say Coralie Farja.
So this
So-
film, I wanted to mention it really quickly. It won the best screenplay at Cannes, and it looks really good. It's starring Margaret Qualley, Demi Moore, and Dennis Quaid. The whole concept sounds weird. Well, basically, you've got this celebrity, this old celebrity who uses this black market drug, and this generates a younger version. And in the description here, it's younger, better version of herself. And I'm guessing the younger, better version of Demi Moore is going to be Margaret Qualley. I don't know how that's going to work,
It's giving Paprika.
how
Wait.
psychological it's going to get, and how
No,
what will be
not-
real and what won't be real, but
Sorry, not Paprika. It's giving Perfect Blue.
perfect.
Have you
Blue.
ever seen Perfect Blue by
No, I
Satoshi
have
Kon?
not.
Oh,
Perfect Blue actually is one I've never seen, but I managed to actually find the Blu-ray of it just the other week, and I bought it straight away.
it's gonna
And
look
when
fantastic.
it was a more expensive, because usually I buy my Blu-rays. It was secondhand as well. When I buy them secondhand, that normally they're like between £1 to £6, depending on what they are. But then you get rarer ones like this, and the shop knows that they're rarer, so they upsell them. So I paid 30 for
Oh
secondhand.
my God.
Damn.
But I was like, people have been telling me for years, get into Satoshi Kon, and I never have. So now this is my time to get into it.
And animated films are my blind spot, unfortunately. That's my big blind spot.
Ilalo. No, but these are really good adult movies. So don't expect like.
No, I know. It's just I don't know. I never really got into animated films, minus the Ghibli ones. That Studio Ghibli are the only animated films I've watched. Unfortunately.
Which are also, to go back to Cannes, they are also winners, right? It's the first time that a studio was given an award rather than an individual.
Really? This year?
Yes. This year they got an award. I forgot what it was. I think a Special Achievement Award, but not
Don't
as
have anything written here on the
as a
article.
Just a second. Let me check for you. Studio
At least
Ghibli.
this year, in this article, I don't have anything from Ghibli. Because I went through the whole thing.
Honorary Palme d'Or,
Okay.
and it's the first. So basically, the Festival de Cannes is honoring a cinema legend, awarding its honorary Palme d'Or for the first time to a group, Studio Ghibli.
Okay. All right. Well, let me bring it up on screen. I mean, definitely, definitely well deserved. I'm guessing they've won a few awards at Cannes. I would imagine Ghibli. No?
Ghibli, I
I
wouldn't know.
don't think so.
No, really?
Oh.
What's that?
And
Anyways,
you mean to tell me you haven't watched Ghost in the Shell as well? The animation and not the Scarlett
Nope.
Johansson. Illallo, man.
You're missing out. Have you watched Akira?
no. I'm telling you.
Oh
like
my
Ghibli,
god.
Ghibli.
Okay, ciao.
That's it.
I'm hanging this call. Bye.
No.
Ciao.
That's it with regard to animated. Like Ghibli.
Franco's gone.
Oh no, he's actually gone. Now I have to admit him again. I'll leave him out.
Just don't. Yeah.
Well, actually, it's a good time for him to leave because now we're going to talk about video games. And Franco knows jack shit about video games. Well, he knows a lot about AI, though. So, Franco, join us again, please. You'll talk about AI. But this has been in the news. This has been a big thing in the news recently.
This passed me by as well. I got the notification on my phone. The thing is, I follow Neil Druckmann on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But like, the news passed me by. But then I did get a notification of the tweet of Neil Druckmann, like clarifying what he had actually said. And I kind of I didn't even bother to read it. I kind of just took it as like the internet's attacking Neil Druckmann for something.
No. I mean, yeah, the internet did attack him, but the fault is not with the internet. The fault is with Sony. So basically, this was a big. Come here to talk about AI, Franco.
I calm down. No, you want me to leave again?
Because we're talking about video games now.
Okay.
No. Long story short, basically, Sony made this interview with Neil Druckmann. It's basically for the corporate side of Sony, and Druckmann added in a lot of these corporate fucking dog whistles, AI, and lots of these buzzwords that the shareholders love.
AAA holistic approach.
Yes. Now, the issue is with this, that in the interview, the quote was that Druckmann said that the next Naughty Dogs game would redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming. And Neil Druckmann clarified his comments on social media. In particular, he says he never said one of the most discussed lines from the interview. Druckmann posted his own transcript from the interview, and it does not include this line. As you can see in his statement below, and the breakdown by reporter Stephen Totilo, the published interview is quite different from what Druckmann says he said. So Druckmann literally tweeted on X, what he really said, basically showing up Sony, which in a way goes to show what a powerful position Druckmann really is in right now.
That's one thing, and most probably that line, redefine mainstream perceptions of gaming, was generated by AI. by experience, that line is very AI generated. It's like
it's a buzzword. It's a buzzword, right? And this was his tweet. Some of my words, context, and intent were unfortunately lost. Well, here's the full, long, rambling answer for the final question about our future game. So basically, we're talking about what's in it for the future, whether it's going to be The Last of Us Part 3, or whether it's going to be a new IP. And he, long story short, Neil Druckmann says that they are in the very privileged position, and I agree. They deserve to be in that privileged position, because I think I mean, Naughty Dogs have created absolute quality. They deserve to be in the privileged position to choose whatever they want, basically. That Sony has given them creative freedom to create whatever the hell they want. They know if Naughty Dog release a game, it's going to win Game of the Year, it's going to sell a lot, and it's going to be a hit, right? So there's that. The other aspect of this interview I wanted to talk about, and then we'll get into the future for Naughty Dog and your thoughts on this comment about AI, is that in this interview, Druckmann spoke very optimistically about the prospects for how AI can potentially positively impact video game development in the future. And these are his comments. AI is really going to revolutionize how content is being created, although it does bring up some ethical issues we need to address. With technologies like AI and the ability to do motion capture right from home, we're reducing both costs and technical hurdles, opening the door for us to take on more adventurous projects and push the boundaries of storytelling in games. The evolution is truly empowering creators to bring their visions to life without the traditional obstacles. AI will allow us to create nuanced dialogues and characters, expanding creative possibilities. However, it's crucial to precisely direct these tools to achieve the intended outcomes. Franco, what do you think? Can AI help generate nuanced dialogues and characters?
That's why my noise was like, nuance, really? AI?
That's the little bit that really.
I'm sure. No. I think what I agree with him is, yes, it is revolutionizing how content is made, because at the end of the day, 3D animation studios are using AI to sort of fill in between the frames. So all they need to do, animators, is just do one frame of an expression, do another frame of another expression, and then let AI do the in-betweens, basically. So there's that, which helps a lot. Then it's like even what I'm noticing a lot, and loads of posters are using AI, and it's become so bland, man. Even the color scheme, immediately you'll notice like this is done by AI. The color scheme is the same. There's that sheen. Even the expressions, like it's done by the same artist. It's killing the nuance, actually. So there's that. It depends, maybe AI, if it is used as a way to revolutionize NPCs. Like the way, since it's machine learning based. So for example, you think you're gonna remember sometimes, like with games, if you die, you go to the same path. You know what you're going to expect.
Yeah. Like
maybe
Dark Souls games.
But Dark Souls changes the.
No, Dark Souls doesn't change. Dark Souls, basically, the characters are always in the same place.
But and then you're expecting an enemy over this place.
Exactly. That's one of the skills in Dark Souls, where you know how to predict enemies, get past them to get to the boss fight as quickly as possible.
And imagine with AI, if the NPCs are given AI abilities and they can learn what's your next step, it can be much more of a challenge. More of a challenge.
I mean, they've had this technology in games for a while now, with adaptive AI or NPCs and stuff like that, where usually they make a big hullabaloo about it, and sometimes it is impressive, but sometimes it is not. I mean, a Naughty Dog game, The Last of Us Part 2, had enemies which would learn from what you would do in combat.
Yes, those. And did you guys play the Batman Arkham City games? You remember Mr. Freeze? He learned the skills you use. So once you use a skill with him, he would defend himself from that skill if you use it again. So you had to keep on using different skills and utensils and so on to beat him. That was really well implemented in that game.
Mm-hmm. Like that, maybe. And again, like I said, when it comes to animation, instead of from one pose to another, it makes it easier and faster to make. Who knows? But yes, again, as far as nuance goes, it's the artist, not the AI, and I'm gonna keep on harping about this for quite some time, because again, this is all like businesses. I mean, if you, I know it's a bit of a stretched analogy, but if you're putting business people in charge of games and they believe that AI is the way forward, remember what happened to Boeing while putting business people in charge of Boeing. See Doors. You know?
Joe, what do you think is the future for Naughty Dogs? I know there's rumors that the next Naughty Dog game will not be The Last of Us Part 3, that it is in the works, but the next game will actually not be The Last of Us Part 3. What do you think?
I mean, I love Naughty Dog. They're one of my favorite game developers, like all the way from the Crash Bandicoot days to probably my favorite game series of all time is the Jak and Daxter trilogy. I love the Uncharted games. I love The Last of Us. But they kind of annoyed me a little bit with the whole treatment of the online component of The Last of Us Part 2, because the online component factions in Last of Us 1 was really, really good, and it came with the game. They decided not to include an online component in The Last of Us Part 2. Now, granted, The Last of Us Part 2 was a lot bigger and a lot longer than the first one. But there was the promise of, we're going to turn this into a standalone multiplayer experience. And I was like, okay, cool. They're going ambitious with it. They're going for something big. But then, out of nowhere, after like some radio silence and after a couple of promises, and all we saw was like one image of like concept art, they're just like, no, we're canning it. Like, our heart's not in it, kind of thing. So
wasn't that Sony leadership, Joe? The Sony leadership change, I believe. And then they had some quotes how they're going to, forget the focus on live services games, and they're going to go back to like storytelling.
I'm not really sure, but I don't know how a leadership change completely cans a game which was many years in development. Years in development. And a lot of promises about what it's going to be like and what it intends to offer. But anyway, I'm not one of those toxic people that's like, fuck this company, they didn't give me what I wanted. No, I was just disappointed because I was looking forward to seeing what they were going to give me. But then I was also interested because they had came out and said that they were working on apparently a new IP, and the rumors are it's going to be a fantasy-based IP. And I'm all for new IP, especially from a company that I really, really like. To repeat again, I love The Last of Us. Despite its controversies, I loved The Last of Us Part 2. I loved the first game. I really enjoyed the television series. I do not think that we need another Last of Us game. Or if you're going to make another Last of Us game, go for the big online component or just go somewhere else. Take it out of America. Base it in Europe, base it in the UK. Do something different, like it's still The Last of Us, but like I personally feel the story of Ellie is now done.
Yes.
And even with a certain Easter egg, the story of Abby is now done as well. So I was a little bit disappointed when they're like, we're going to do a Last of Us Part 3, and they said specifically, Druckmann said that he doesn't feel the characters' stories are necessarily over. For me, that might then they're trying to get too much of a good thing and relying on that. But then I've been proven wrong before. At the end of every Uncharted game, I kind of felt like this is a really good place to end it. Until they eventually ended it with Uncharted 4, and I'm glad they did that, and I hope they never go back to the character of Nathan Drake. But then they're not. They made Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which was kind of like a spin-off of that, and was good as well. I enjoyed that game. End of the day, I want new things. I am also one of those people. I remember being like so upset and a little bit angry years ago, because there's always rumors with Naughty Dog that they're going to go back to Jak and Daxter, because everyone who, like all the big heads who work there, talk about how much they love that series and how much they owe that series for really establishing them as a company at the time. And there were, before The Last of Us Part 2, they were tentatively working on a new Jak and Daxter game. And that's not rumor, that is fact, because then they released concept art of what they were working on. And it is clearly a Jak and Daxter game that they were trying to bring into their modern engine and their kind of more realistic looking like style games. And for me, as a fan of those games, I would love to see a fresh take on those. Now, I don't think they're going to do it for this next one, but I'm curious to see what they do. I hope The Last of Us Part 3 is not their next game. I hope they just go for something totally new and fresh, and I want to see what that is. but time will tell.
Yep, indeed. Listen, I'm no big Neil Druckmann fan, as I think you guys by now know.
A lot of people really don't like him, but I personally don't fully get it because they say, "Oh, like he's a bit like pompous and cocky."
Yes,
like,
he is.
so.
Oh God.
But isn't anyone who works?
Oh,
in
he's so
that,
pretentious, Joe.
Especially, but writers are pretentious.
But he is like an extra level of pretentious.
Writers
oh.
and even directors as well. They're so pretentious. Also, one of us has extreme background noise. I don't know who it is.
Yes. Oh, Franco, can you mute,
Oh,
please?
sorry.
Yeah, because the sound is really. Yeah.
If you look at
so
directors, I mean, like
pretentious.
you can take someone like Martin Scorsese as extremely pretentious.
But Scorsese is extremely charismatic, so that helps.
I agree that Druckmann definitely has a little bit of a personality problem in that he's very cold when he talks about things.
Have you seen his presentation? There's a particular presentation, and the wording he used. I think he's also a bit of a corporate hack as well. I think he says the words corporations really want to listen here in his interviews, and I think that's one of the big reasons why, again, Naughty Dog is given so much freedom and so much money to invest in, apart from the fact that they make really good games. And his language
his proof is in the pudding, because Naughty Dog, every game they have ever made has been a critical and commercial darling.
Yes, 100%. But I don't know. I really don't like him.
I'm just playing more devil's advocate here. I'm not someone who's like, everyone is wrong about Neil Druckmann. He's a genius and he's a good guy. I can see how he comes across as cold, but I also think a lot of the hate for him is unmerited, because he is someone who started initially as just a writer. These people, as time goes on and they get success, and not all of them, obviously, not all of them, but it does happen quite a bit with writers, especially people from a slightly older generation, where they're quite pompous and they love their own work and they also love the sound of their own voice and they love their own stories. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, and some people portray that in a better manner than most, and I think he could improve in the way that he portrays that for sure. But I also just think people just need to chill the fuck out at the same time.
I mean, also I remember there was a big issue with crunch culture with Naughty Dog, which was a big issue. I think they're trying to fixing that right now.
This is not to downplay it, but that is every big game developer in the world.
Yes, but apparently at Naughty Dog it was like extreme crunch. Like if you're getting into Naughty Dog, the final couple of years you're going to work on
that's the
award-winning game, definitely, but you're not going to have a life. You're going to be working 18 hours every day. I
had a good conversation with my friend Alan, who you guys met at Cafe Society last time. He's got a lot of friends who work in game development, and a lot of friends that have worked with very big AAA companies in game development. And he said the sad thing is that if you are going into game development at a AAA standard, whoever you work for, and it's a sad thing, and this is not to downplay it at all, it's to acknowledge that this is a sad thing, whoever you are going to work for as a budding game developer, you are going to crunch, because that is just the industry.
Yeah. And to be fair, in this interview he spoke, now again, it could be more corporate prattle, but he did say they're working on fixing it, which is why they haven't released a game in the past few years, a new game in the past few years, because they're really working hard to try and fix the issue with.
I mean, they also had layoffs as well.
Yeah.
As did every company, where they didn't account for people that they were hiring during COVID. Apparently, was one of the excuses.
And there are two other reasons why he's a Zionist. So there's that, but that's a personal.
Yes, that I will agree is an extremely problematic part of him, but he is, unfortunately, he is from where he is from.
Yeah, but that's an issue, and there are certain people in gaming, Joe, and right now I can't think of anyone else, but there are some others there. I just can't remember the names of people who I feel like they are failed Hollywood writers who got into gaming just because they couldn't make it into Hollywood.
Oh, 100%.
So I always get the feeling that this guy doesn't want to make games. He doesn't really want to make it. He wants to make films.
He said it. There was they had done the podcast of The Last of Us Part 2 just after the game came out, like going through the game and talking through it. And he openly said he wanted to be a screenwriter.
Exactly.
Like he never saw himself getting into games, but then he appreciates what he's been able to do with games.
So I think all those things, and the fact that I hated Last of Us 2 story, the writing for The Last of Us Part 2, not the gameplay. The gameplay was insanely good. The writing, oh God.
He got his screenwriting credit eventually on the Last of Us TV show. So
Yes. And apparently, quite a few members of the Naughty Dog team dislike the storyline. He said it himself in the interview. He said that a lot of the members of Naughty Dog disagreed with the direction that they took the story in part 2.
It is, despite the fact that I like it, and this is just more proof because you do not like it. It is extremely divisive.
Yeah, and not just on that plot point, on the real focus on revenge.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the people at Naughty Dog were like, this is too bitter and too like revenge focused. It's like at times playing Last of Us Part 2 was a difficult experience. I wouldn't call it fun, as good as the gameplay was.
No, it's dark.
I mean, it's oh my God, it's so dark. It goes places and more.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're going to portray it in the show, but there's some really dark shit going on, and playing. And that was a long game. That was like 30 hours. So it's really that was, I think, COVID when I was playing that game. That was really like tough playthrough to get through. And I remember playing like 20 hours straight to get the review out as quickly as possible, and that scarred me playing the whole thing. But I respect the guy. He makes pretty much the best games, available. So there's that as well. Anyways, I think we can move on to our reviews. So viewers, listeners, let us know in the comment section below your thoughts on all the news we've talked about. What do you think about the comments by Neil Druckmann and the future for Naughty Dog? What do you think about Cannes Film Festival winners? Any of those films which you're looking forward to watching? And what do you think about the whole issue with the box office? What's going on there? Let us know in the comment section below. And please do leave a like and do subscribe if you enjoy watching and listening to the Ad Lib Podcast. And with that, Franco, I think we can get into our first review of the day. And I think we can start the day with Boy Kills World. So let's get into it. What do you think about Boy Kills World, Franco?
So, Boy Kills World, starring one of the Skarsgårds, Bill Skarsgård. Wait. Just a second. Let me make sure.
Yeah, it is Bill.
It is Bill Skarsgård. Most probably Skarsgård. That's how it will sound, basically. But yes, Boy Kills World is the story of a boy, of course, when his family is murdered, he's a deaf-mute named boy escapes to the jungle and is trained by a mysterious shaman to repress his childish imagination and become an instrument of death. So, let me put on my review over here. I said that this movie has the nature of an anime, and I don't know if you agree or not.
Yeah, I get why.
Because here's this. So it has the bonkers gory action, and most importantly, extremely clear, complementing its fast pace. Because as fast paced as it all is, you can still follow the action. And you were right about the drone shots. The drone shots were really fantastic. And then there was this silly hit or miss humor, which unfortunately was mostly missed, because the internal monologue, I was going to switch it off. So grating. And then there was also the heavily bittersweet ending following some crazy revelations. Is it all that bad? Not at all, especially if you're a fan of anime. It just needed all its elements to gel better together. I think, again, I keep mentioning Ash, or I think the guys from Malta Pop would like this movie. Because this is this kind of movie, if you're like into anime and you don't really you're ready to go with it. To go with the bonkers action and plot points and framing and everything. Yeah, you'll like it.
Remember, Franco Ashley didn't like Mad Max, huh? Fury Road. So,
He might like this, but that's the thing. I mean, no, because wait, but Mad Max Fury Road had a great story, great action, everything was in its place. You know, this movie is more like um, it's a bit of an undisciplined child for someone who wants
very
to be an
undisciplined. Oh,
undisciplined child.
that's a very
You
good
know?
way to describe it.
Again, but the action was great. They could have done away with the internal monologue. I think if you remove the internal monologue, this movie still would have worked.
Yes, would have worked much better. Not would have worked.
Yes, yes, yes. Speaking of Zionists, there was also another Zionist over there. You think Neil Druckmann is go back? I think the guy what was his name? He was also in Stranger Things. This guy.
Oh,
And
okay.
Fleabag.
He was
Oh, and
in
the scumbag husband.
yeah, scumbag husband and scumbag in real life, apparently, because he was really despicable. Despicable. This is Ireland. I was saying like this, like, okay, fuck off. I was really looking forward for him to get a really good killing, basically. Anyway. By the way, that guy, I don't know if you ever heard of the series Warrior.
I have not. No.
He was the main protagonist in Warrior. I think it's based on the story of Bruce Lee.
Okay.
So there's quite like he's the guy who was basically had his knee hurt in the movie. He had an Australian accent, and yeah, he's quite good in it, and he's got really good action moves. Otherwise, yeah, up
Yeah.
to you, Andrea.
So I think overall, as a concept, on paper, it sounds great. All the action. I love the idea of having a silent protagonist in Bill Skarsgård, but I think then they got scared that they would have too many silent moments. So then they were like, let's add an internal monologue and let's make it sound epic. And I think that it got way out of their hands, and I don't think something went wrong with the writing of this, because the humor just felt, I wouldn't even say childish, because it would be offensive to children. Because the humor was just bad. That's it. Again, I know it's subjective, and maybe some people will find this funny, but I really don't understand your brain if you find this kind of humor funny. I need to explore your brain and try and understand what kind of person you are to actually find this funny. Because I think I laughed maybe once, not even laughed, smiled maybe once throughout the whole film. I struggled with the humor. If they kept it with Bill Skarsgård, who is great, I mean, he has the physicality to pull off all the action in this. And obviously props to all the great stuntmen who did their work in this as well, stuntmen and stuntwomen who did their work in this. If they kept the concept of the silent protagonist who wants revenge and just focus on the very gory, very bloody, and very, very creative action, I think this would have been a very good 3.5 out of 5. A very good 3.5 out of 5. I think they would have pulled it off really well, and it would have, checked all the boxes they needed to check. Because you had an interesting plot twist, which you can see coming a mile away. But still, it's a fine plot twist, for what it's worth. You have an interesting dynamic between these two characters. I won't say any more because, obviously, of spoilers. I think the whole concept was there. They just got somewhere in the process of making this film. Either they panicked because of the silent protagonist and they added the internal monologue going on and internal narration going on. And that did kind of ruin the film for me. So if I had to rate this solely on the action, I would give this a very high rating. I would give this a very, very good rating, because the way it's shot, again, the drone shots, for example, sweeping through, those are really good stuff. The blood and gore is excellent in this. It's just tonally, it's a complete mess. It's very jarring. You've got, just doesn't make, and when I think about blood and humor, I think about someone like Tarantino, who gels, the humor with the very bloody action, perfectly. Otherwise, here, just you can tell the people who made this are just not as talented as someone like Tarantino, of course.
Oh,
Yeah,
I wouldn't say Tarantino. I was going to say Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright as well, yes.
Because
Edgar Wright as well, yes.
now while you were talking about this, I was thinking they had the video game aesthetic, Scott Pilgrim. They had the violence and the gore and the humor, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. And there was also some moments where like when there's like the explaining the plot or what they're gonna do. Again, that's also from Edgar Wright as well. I think if this movie was in Edgar Wright's hands, it would have been fantastic.
This is directed and written by Moritz Moore. Moritz Moore.
I think it's his debut.
Directorial debut. Yeah, directorial debut. So I understand maybe it's his debut, so maybe I that's the vibe I get from this, that they kind of panicked that the whole silent protagonist might get a little boring. So they went for let's go for the epic voice. That'll be really epic and really funny as well. Well, it really didn't needed it because you've got Bill Skarsgård, who's a fantastic actor. He can do everything with his eyes and his physicality. And there's some really good physical humor, like the cheese grater scene. That was great. That was so good. That was excellent. So they do some creative physical humor and action here. It's really creatively done. It's just kind of ruined a little bit with the out of place humor, which really wasn't needed.
He's got a great eye for action, violent action. But again, it's like you said, the humor was get on with it.
So overall, I'd say very well choreographed fight sequences, especially the final fight was mind-blowing, really gory, really pulpy, like just what I want out of this kind of film.
It was very visceral.
I love also the fact that they went for the very clear shots of the action. I love when a film gives me a clear view of what's going on. There wasn't one moment where I was like the shaky cam. Oh, what's going on?
No, well edited, very well edited.
Very well edited, yes.
You see all the hits, and like even like the silly, the toenail bit.
Yep.
Yeah, that was like, even when you see that, and it even just the shot basically tells the story of the action. What did he do? He put in the toenail in the wound and twisted it. So at least you know what's
really
happening and why he's shouting.
So I want to see more from Moritz Moore, and I want to see him working with, if he's going to focus this much on action.
He wants to see more from Moritz Moore.
But and I hope he'll work with Bill Skarsgård again, because Bill Skarsgård really pulls off the action excellently in this. And also, what's her name? Jessica Roth. She's really good as well in this. She pulls off her role excellently as well. And I think Michelle Dockery is also a very good antagonist, and the kind of antagonist you really want to see die, and she dies a very creative death in this. So, I mean, spoilers, but obviously one of the antagonists dies in a film filled with killing. Overall, my rating for this is a 2.5 out of 5. I don't know about you, Franco.
It was 3, but it can go down to 2.5. I was more generous with a 3.
There's a lot of positive stuff going on. It's just the negative stuff really ruined the whole experience for me, which is a pity. Because again, there's a really lot of good stuff in this. Lots of good stuff. But the negatives just bogged down the film too much for myself.
He was one of the producers of Barbarian. No wonder he got Bill Skarsgård on board.
Explains a lot. Anyways, moving on. Or Franco, you want to add something?
I blanked. Keep moving, sorry.
All right. So moving on to the next review. This is going to be very short because I want to hear Joe's review of Furiosa. Although I have heard, Joe, your review on your YouTube page, by the way.
We should plug Joe's
that's exactly what I was going to do. Joe has started his YouTube channel, and please make sure to go and subscribe.
Smash that like
his
button.
Channel. Joe, go ahead.
Just have a little bit more time on my hands, and something I've always wanted to do. I like talking about films. I don't always have people to talk about films with, so I'd rather do it alone. This was a very fun little thing I did with a friend of mine when I was down in Malta for the weekend, which I want to do a little bit more for films going forward, but I don't know how I'm going to do it alone, to be honest. Where for intros, I basically pay homage whilst taking the piss out of some of the films I'm about to review. So I basically tried to do the opening of Fury Road with a friend of mine, as you can see. But yeah, it's not just going to be reviews. I have plans for other things, which I won't reveal just now. Maybe some stuff like video essays and more just like film conversation and stuff like that. Maybe a couple of interviews here and there. But we'll see where it goes. It's more just like a fun thing to keep my creative juices flowing, because I do like the job that I work in. But sometimes when you work for a company, you have to follow certain kinds of rules. It gets a little bit old. So this is just to have some kind of freedom and to just talk about something that I love. So if you can subscribe, that's great. If you can if you can engage, it all helps the algorithm. So yeah.
Good stuff. I love the introduction. I just love the introduction. Really,
it was very fun making that intro.
I can imagine. That was a Malta, right, Joe?
Yeah.
That's Pembroke, no?
Sorry?
Pembroke, no? Yeah?
No, that was the first bit close to Popeye Village and the other bit close to Little Army.
All right, okay.
Yeah. I utilized my 360 camera for that last shot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mana, 360. There's a lot of 360 movement in this, because I really couldn't understand much of what was going on. I really don't get how it's got a 5.6 on IMDb. Some people actually like this film. At least gave it a pass. Atlas, directed by Brad Payton, with a pretty impressive cast. Jennifer Lopez, Simu Liu, Sterling K. Brown, Mark Strong. It's a Netflix movie. It's a Netflix sci-fi movie starring, like Joe said, Jennifer Lopez. You know what you're getting, right? I think it had a big budget. I don't know what the budget was for Atlas. Actually, Atlas budget.
Why you look for the budget? I remember what I have to say. Have you watched The Raid Redemption, Andrea?
No, I watched The Raid. I haven't watched the second one.
Why?
Shall I leave, Joe? Shall I leave again?
To be fair, I watched The Raid. I just haven't watched the second one.
No, okay. You watched The Raid. Okay, forgive
Now,
me.
talking about unbelievable stuff. Do you know Netflix spent over 100 million for this crap?
Okay.
Remember, the creator cost less. The creator cost less than 100 million to make.
Yeah.
And this cost 100 million plus to make Atlas. Oh boy. Anyways, so what's Atlas all about? In a bleak sounding future, an AI soldier has determined that the only way to end war is to end humanity, and that AI is Simu Liu. Simu Liu wants to end humanity to save Earth. We haven't heard this plot line before. And as you can tell from just reading the summary on IMDb, it's very generic. It's so incredibly generic. And it takes ideas.
Terminator did it better.
I mean, clearly Terminator did it better. And it takes ideas from much better films. This is like the Rebel Moon. This is a Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon.
Come again and again. It's on Netflix, so I don't know why Netflix are funding this kind of stuff. I'm guessing after they had big success with Mother, also starring Jennifer Lopez. That's maybe why they put in that much money. But Mother was a very cheap film to make.
Did they have success with Mother?
Yes, that was one of the most viewed films on Netflix.
But wait. Most viewed films or most viewed minutes? Like they tried to sell us with that.
I don't know. But I know a lot of people watched Mother. I know a lot of people watched Mother.
Even Atlas, I mean, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 70% audience rating. So
what the
audience is a fucking don, man.
Check.
The general person that just wants to be entertained by bullshit or have it on while they're making dinner is a nincompoop, man.
But even having this on was because I understand maybe you put on Atlas. To be fair, I'll be honest, there was one particular scene where I'm done with this shit and I went to prepare some food whilst I was watching this. So there's that. But I mean, I was still listening to what's going on. The dialogue in this, I mean, to talk about what they were saying, it's just, oh my Lord. If I'm guessing. I really have a very, very, very bad feeling that this was generated by AI. The whole script for this film must have been generated by AI, because some of the comments I heard in this film, I cannot understand how a human being can come up with some of the lines in this film. There is one moment, and listen, don't really care about, you know how I am with this kind of stuff, but there's one moment where Jennifer Lopez refers to one of these mech shit things as it, and you can already tell what I'm going to say. And the robot says, "I identify as she/her," and I was like, and this was at the start of the film. I was like, I paused. I'm like, I don't think I should be watching this film.
You shouldn't. Why are you wasting your time?
For the reviews,
but we've pointed out, like, you've got like some big gaps. Like you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, you haven't seen Akira, you haven't seen The Raven, but you're wasting your life with this fucking dumpster fire.
And he'll get the Blu-ray as well now of Atlas.
No, Netflix won't release the
Netflix
Blu-ray.
doesn't do Blu-rays. They don't do Blu-rays. They want, when there's the eventual nuclear war and we're all living like Mad Max, they want their films to just disappear from the face of the earth.
Leave the world behind. Remember, leave the world behind.
That was at least like entertainingly stupid.
No. But the reference to the Blu-rays, because they watched it.
Yeah. I felt very seen.
Yeah, and that was on Netflix. That was interesting. Netflix plugging Blu-rays.
Blu-rays.
But this isn't the movie. Like and this is the thing that fucked me up the most watching this. So the worst thing about this all is, forget the really bad CGI. In my review, I need to change this. I said video game graphics. I mean, video game graphics are impressive when you play something like
because they're a fucking video game.
This is terrible. This is awful. This is really bad. And the screen is so cluttered with shit going on. The editing is downright offensive. Like, and complete and total mess. Like action happening on the right, and then edits to action happening on the left, and then there are scenes where I couldn't keep up. This reminded me a lot of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where I had the same issue. The film was edited so poorly, and the CGI was such a blurry mess, where I just couldn't keep up with what was going on in the action scenes, and the camera's having a fucking fit. And the edits like zooming in, zooming out, but it's not the smooth zoom in and zoom out, the dolly zoom we all love. It's the zoom, like when they're trying to give the like there's a journalist filming it, so they zoom in really quickly, and like this camera is shaking, and you're like, oh, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. There's so much shit. And at one point, the action's exploding on the right, and then it cuts to an action going on the left, and it's such a fucking clusterfuck.
Skipping vectors, left, right, and center.
Oh my lord, I was gonna lose it watching the action in this.
By the way, it's 54% now audience rating, so it went down.
Okay.
Good. There's hope for humanity, yes.
It's such a mess, and it's so blurry, and but the worst thing, none of this is the worst thing. The worst thing is thematically. So this is what I wrote on my letterboxd. That I really don't get what the writers were going for with the whole, because the movie starts off with, okay, AI is bad. AI is trying to kill humanity, right? Because AI interpreted taking care of humanity as kill all humans. I haven't watched this in Marvel movies. We haven't watched this in Terminator. We haven't watched this in any movie. There's a fresh, new, creative idea by Netflix. Okay, AI is bad. Fine, fuck it, whatever. But then and I'm going to spoil the film because I hope no one watching this podcast and none of you guys are going to watch Atlas. I think it's safe to say that. The movie summed up with Jennifer Lopez learning to trust AI, but don't trust the bad AI, trust the good AI, because the good AI will help us, will help humanity. So we need to trust in AI Jennifer Lopez's character ends up starts off hating AI and ends the film, trusting AI and giving all her personal details and all her memories, giving in to AI. And that's how Jennifer Lopez's character manages to beat Simu Liu. By trusting in AI. No, it's not Jennifer Lopez's character going on a voyage of discovering herself and learning to trust in herself and her abilities to beat Simu Liu. No, she didn't trust in herself. She trusted in the AI, and the AI helped beat the bad AI, Simu Liu, the bad Asian AI.
Can we just go back to the good old days where robots are like brainless evil and they should all die?
Listen, if we get something like The Creator, I'm happy with that. As much as I don't love the story for The Creator and the writing, I had a good time watching it.
The story is good for The Creator. The way it unfolds is not.
The way it unfolds, yeah. I'm fine with that.
Can I ask one question because I looked at that poster?
Yeah.
Because it was a Simu Liu over there, right? Is he actually in the film or is he just a voice?
No. He's actually in the film.
No, he's in the movie.
He's in the film.
Otherwise, I was going to say that's fucking hilarious. Also, why do we have posters for Netflix films? Like they're not in theaters or like. What?
Yeah, but I mean, if you liked the story for this, don't play this. Go play Titanfall 2.
Yes, I will stand that as well. Titanfall 2 is my favorite shooter of all time, and it's fucking fantastic.
It's incredible. The campaign for Titanfall 2
is breathtaking.
Oh my lord, so good. So good.
It has the coolest use of time travel I've seen in a game.
Oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. This was a travesty. This was a travesty. This was awful. Absolutely awful. Really bad. Don't watch it. Joe, your time to shine because you watched a much better film than Atlas.
Yeah. Now we're going to go with a film that you definitely should watch, and you should watch it on the biggest screen you can find. To harken back to my review, which I had done on my channel, it is finally here, my most anticipated film of the year. If anyone asks me what film do you want to see the most from Cannes Film Festival this year, it's this. Don't care about anyone else, even though it's quite a weird one for it to be a I'm going to be fairly brief with it because like some people may have watched my review anyway, and it's also hard to talk about because you guys haven't seen it, and I don't want to spoil anything as well. And people might be like, how are you going to spoil a prequel? We know what happens in Fury Road. You can spoil.
No, we don't.
You definitely spoil what happens in this film because a lot happens. To start off with, this is I don't think I need to explain what the film's about. It's called Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. Okay? It is literally that. It is a saga. It is an epic odyssey. It is the longest Mad Max film because even despite how much there is in Fury Road, that clocks in at just under 2 hours, I believe, and this is 2.5. It's also really difficult for me to talk about this film without absolutely like gushing and seeming like a fanboy. And I said that in my review on my channel as well. It doesn't make me biased because my reasons when this film was announced were, I love Fury Road, but do we need a prequel about this character that was released in Fury Road? And maybe George Miller should keep on expanding the universe further. I can't recall a prequel in recent memory. Maybe the Planet of the Apes films, but this does it in a much better way that really expand like the whole myth and myth building in a world, because that's just what this prequel does. And what it decides to do with the concept of revenge and the myth building amongst that as well, and about tyrannical figures and about also more saint-like kind of like savior figures as well. I just focus on that word saga the most because it couldn't be more true in the way that this happens. It goes through years. I believe because Fury Road, I believe George Miller had said it unfolds over 3 days and 2 nights. That's a very short amount of time. This, I believe, unfolds over about 15 years. So there's a lot. We go from like a young, I think, about like 10-year-old Furiosa to, I guess if it's 15 years later, about a 25-year-old Furiosa in that. But again, just like it's one of those where from the moment it finished, I didn't stop talking about it. And to go back to the saga thing of it all, so the film is told in 5 like big chapters, each titled and introduced when they're going to come in, which are going to go through a different part in Furiosa's life, and they're told in a chronological order as well. And you would think, like, by the time they go on, like, can they get a little bit more interesting? But I'm sure, Andrea, you know, there's the meme when you're playing a video game, if you're sitting back like this and you're relaxing, but then the game gets a bit more difficult, so you have to assume the position, you need to sit up like that, and that ultimately makes you play better. This is genuinely the first time in a film where, when it came up with like the 5th chapter and just the name of the 5th chapter, I was sitting there watching it in my IMAX theater, and I was nice and relaxed, and the name came up with the 5th chapter, and I had to just get
so
up.
This is Joe in the cinema. This is me when I'm playing Call of Duty when I get angry.
Yeah, exactly. me in the cinema was, I saw the number 5 and I saw the words, and I was just like,
okay.
But no, like even Andreas had said on Prickly Pears, like there's definitely, I mean, we were used to Fury Road and like the amount of like practical effects it has. It's obviously had visual effects in it as well. They didn't film anything in an actual fucking sandstorm. Obviously they did not. There are like 1 or 2 moments where CGI used in this film are maybe ever so slightly unpolished. But then again, there's so much going on, and it's so manic at times that I really don't care. It'd literally be the case of if someone wrote an incredible novel and there were 3 typos in words that I found. I don't care. It is so insignificant to the whole overarching thing. And the best thing this film did, and actually it's toying with me as well, because I love all the Mad Max films. I kind of grew up watching them because my brother was a fan as well. I adore Fury Road. Like, in my opinion, one of the best action films of all time. And I will die on this hill. It is the best action film of the 21st century. And it's not close, in my opinion. That's how much I love that film. A lot of people at the time, and even probably now, their complaint with Fury Road was there isn't much story, which I think that's dumb, first of all. I think the story is simple in Fury Road, but it's also extremely effective. If that was your complaint in Fury Road, you're going to get your bang for your buck in this one, because there's so much more going on. And the main difference it gives you, that I remember listening to Mark Kermode, who used to be the reviewer for The Guardian and for BBC One, but now he's got his own podcast with Simon Mayo. He pointed out one thing, which then like it kind of like clicked for me as to why, in a way, even though they're completely different films, and I think you can't directly compare them, even though they're so intrinsically connected. What it does, which is a little bit better than Fury Road, is Fury Road never gave you a chance to breathe. Ever. Yeah. And I think the biggest breath you got in Fury Road was that's when the scene after the storm ends with the crash of Max, there's that little bit of a lull, but then you're back with the scene of Max and he's waking up and he's like manically trying to get his handcuff off him. It's just pedal to the metal the whole time. You don't get a chance to relax. Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, gives you plenty of opportunities to relax. And in those moments to relax, it is still building this character and building out this world. And that's the very best thing it does. And it doesn't do it, I would say, perfectly, but it's such an ambitious take on this series as a whole, because the Mad Max films are extremely simple. Extremely. In fact, like, I think if you had to calculate across 4 films, the character of Max maybe has 100 to 120 lines of dialogue across 4 films. You know? And that's to say, like, even over here, in particular, Anya Taylor-Joy's character, I think George Miller said she only has about 30 lines of dialogue, but they're all done very effectively. And that's where this masterstroke is, because a lot of people wanted Charlize Theron to come back and play this character, but it wouldn't have made sense because, and as well, great foresight from George Miller, because he said his main reason for not bringing Charlize Theron back is that he doesn't like the uncanny valley look of de-aging someone.
Yes.
He thinks it looks terrible. But when you get someone like Anya Taylor-Joy, what is the main feature on Anya Taylor-Joy's face that comes out to you straight away? Her eyes.
Her eyes are,
and
wow.
there is so much done with just a look in this film. And then that's to talk about, there's a young actress, Alila Brown, who plays the younger version of Furiosa, and one looks like so much like Anya Taylor-Joy, and I believe they did do a bit of digital play over there with her to make her look even more like Anya Taylor-Joy. But just the seamless transition between them is ridiculous. Again, like, I will start to conclude. I could talk for days about this film, about things that I loved, certain moments, certain shots, and I haven't even talked about the fucking Chris Hemsworth of it all, because this is a guy I have always liked, I have always backed. I hated that he was stuck in the fucking Thor character, and I hated that with the Thor character. Then they were like, okay, just do, I mean, to reference our podcast, just do ad lib stuff where you're just coming up with stuff on the spot, and we'll just see which one works. It got very stale and very annoying. Have you guys seen the film Bad Times at the El Royale?
I have not.
Yes.
That's on my watch list.
Not a perfect film by any means. Quite an interesting film. But he gets to play a villain probably for like the first big time in that, and he steals the show 100%. And he pretty much does it here as well. His character of Dementus is incredible, and he doesn't have the problem of, I don't think call it a problem, because I love the villain of Immortan Joe in Fury Road, and he also plays a part here as well. But a lot of people will say like, Immortan Joe is one note because his whole thing is he's just evil. You know, he's a tyrannical warlord that just wants to try and create the perfect child, so he enslaves women to do it, and he's got other various slaves as well. He's just evil. That's his whole thing. Dementus has more than that, and there's a particular moment with Dementus, and I won't even mention when it is in the film, where you see why he is the way that he is. And a part of you goes like, shit, this guy is vile and evil, but at the same time, I get it. You know, and that's very tough to do with a villain. It's tough to do with a villain who's just been introduced for the first time in this franchise and in this story. He's one of the best villain characters in years by a country mile, and Hemsworth is definitely having the time of his life in this. And then it's just to speak about all of the action. I mean, Fury Road obviously has incredibly impressive action scenes. I don't need to repeat myself there. But there was some in this film, and like, there's a whole talk where they said there was one action sequence which took 78 days to shoot and had 200 extras. And when that scene happens, you know it's happening. It's very clear. But like, there's a particular sequence in this film which I think exceeds things that were happening in Fury Road, which sounds unrealistic to say.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. And I'll finish on this. There are very good quotes from two famous Stevens, being Steven Spielberg and Steven Soderbergh, where they both agree, not just throughout his career, but especially at the age of 79 years old, I do not know how George Miller does what he does. Whether that's when he's in the editing room with his editor, who I believe is still his wife, and what he's doing on set. Apparently, he's got this whole thing where they build basically a toy set of every action sequence they want to do, and that's how they plan it out. But that sounds simple, but it is definitely not, because when you've got that much action going on at once, and to make it look good at the same time, that's astounding for a director who's like young and nimble. But for a 79-year-old man to be not only coming up with these things and then seeing them through in like a perfect manner, like we've had our Kurosawas, we've got our Scorseses, we've got our Paul Thomas Andersons. Just because he's making almost like his first in his career, like exploitation films, and then what people might see as like these silly post-apocalyptic action films, George Miller is up there with the very best at what he is doing, because he is the only one that can do what he does. So to just conclude, I thought this was fantastic. It was the best time I've had at the cinema in a while, not just this year. And I just have, like, if I want to be extremely nitpicky, once or twice the CGI didn't look perfect, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, I'm very much looking forward to watching this. Franco, I have to see when we're going to go.
I had like doubts that like the hype was going to be like too much and it wasn't going to live up, but it actually exceeded. Because again, if you're going into this and you're going, I want Fury Road 2.0, where I want balls to the wall action all the time, you're definitely going to be disappointed, 100%. If you want to be surprised and you just want to be back in this world, you're going to have a great time.
Mm-hmm. I love the world of Mad Max, so I'm happy to get anything in that world.
Fantastic world building anyway, so
it's even better in this one.
And watching the first Mad Max, the world is so normal. It's like Australia.
Yeah,
You know, shit happens in Australia.
Yeah,
so.
no, exactly. That could be Australia like yesterday in the first Mad Max.
But then Mad Max 2, then shit starts to go crazy.
Yeah, because I mean, it's that passage of time. I think the first Mad Max is based like a year or two into like the collapse of the world, so things are still very fresh.
I'd love to see a collapse of the world Mad Max film.
Yeah, I think he said Fury Road is meant to be in the year 2074.
Just, yeah.
But the thing is, Fury Road ends so perfectly. Like, I don't want them to continue that story, because I think the farewell between Max and Furiosa is perfect.
He doesn't want to continue that story. The one he wants to make next, which is Mad Max: The Wasteland, is going to be not a drastically younger Max, but Max before Fury Road, where allegedly his whole story in it, and this could definitely change, is it's going to involve Max coming across a woman and her daughter in the wasteland and how they get through it.
That would be interesting. And I mean, to be fair, George Miller doesn't really care about the lore. He's not like the kind of guy who's oh, they have to make sure that everything is perfect.
I will say with the lore as well, if anyone has played the Mad Max video game from back then, which is
game.
If you haven't, really underrated.
What's with
really
the George Miller hate, by the way?
What George Miller hates?
George Miller said he doesn't like the game. Like he wants it like a new Mad Max game, because he apparently doesn't like the video game, which I really don't get.
I think I mean, it could be a case of the story in the video game is pretty generic and very simple, but the game itself is good. I started playing it again and I'm enjoying it again.
Good.
The car stuff is fantastic in that game.
Bitch,
but I think it also has to do with the fact that everyone's favorite nerd and genius, Hideo Kojima, has now become friends with George Miller.
Yes. In fact, he said he wants Hideo Kojima to make a Mad Max game.
Yeah, no, they've met somehow through both of them being famous. And I think when you meet someone like Hideo Kojima and how, one, interested he is in your work and your line of work, and then just his brain and what he's done, I think then if you could pick someone to make your game where it could be a little bit trippy and wild and huge, you're probably going to pick Hideo Kojima.
Rating, Joe?
Kojima Mad Max.
My rating is a straight, hard 5 out of 5.
Ooh, okay. So it's competing with with Challengers then? Is it or not?
No, it's not close.
Okay.
It's going to take a lot to knock this off my number one of the year. This is cemented pretty heavily. Like I was tempted. I'd seen it on a Friday. Had I not had a work event on the Saturday and then been busy on the Sunday, I definitely would have gone and seen it again immediately.
Wait, so this is so you prefer this to Challengers?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Oh, I thought you were talking about Challengers for a second there.
No. Challengers is great. I love Challengers. I had a great time at the film. But I think I had probably easily 4 times the amount of experience that I had at in Furiosa and Max Saga. Just if I could say, obviously you guys are cursed with not having access to an IMAX screen. And the screen obviously makes a difference, but the biggest thing in this film is just the sound.
Yes.
I was sitting there and it was a straight you had my money, now you have my attention moment, where it came up with in the UK they have from the British Film Board, they have Furiosa and Max Saga, this is rated this for whatever, and before the opening credits there's just a roar of an engine before the opening credits start, and as soon as it did I could feel my hands on the armrest rumbling.
Fury Road. Fury Road starts with the rumble as well, right?
And I might be just an easy sell for this, but as soon as that happened, I'm just I'm in already.
Man, the Fury Road Blu-ray. Oh, the opening scene. My house was shaking.
The
Everything was.
The Fury Road Blu-ray. When I got a 4K television, Fury Road was my go-to of I need to see how this looks on a 4K television, and it
same here.
And Furiosa is going to become the next one.
Challengers is number 17 on my list of the year. Damn. I just looked it up now.
17.
Yes.
Are you fucked in the head?
Yes.
No, is it?
So before there is Dune Part 2, Monster, Poor Things, Promised Land, Perfect Days, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, La Chimera, American Fiction, Iron Claws, Sight of the Snow, All of Us Strangers, Origin, Monkey Man, Love Lies Bleeding,
You
Robot
put
Dreams,
Origin.
and Fall
Wait.
Guy.
Where was Origin?
12th. That
Bye.
got a 4. Challengers got a 3.5. And I think, Franco, I think it's time to say goodbye. So, Rage left the podcast. Well, yes, Challengers is number 17 on my list. In between the Fall Guy at 16, and sometimes I think about dying at 18. Yep.
I haven't. No, I haven't. You're already doing the list, guys, because I haven't.
Yes,
started
I
doing
have
this.
47 films in my list, 48 films in my list right now from 2024.
2024. How can I check how many movies I've watched for 2024?
Go on, Letterboxd, go through all your reviews and put them in a list. I'd say that. Andrea is a hack. Let's end it here, Franco, because I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Thank you to all
Go on.
the viewers and listeners who joined us. Franco.
Go watch Akira. Go watch Ghost in the Shell.
Man, I'm so bad with animated films. Like, I spent most of my life not watching animated films. Except for Studio Ghibli. That's it. I think I was a bit snobbish with regard to animated films. Crime Against Humanity to put Origin above Challengers. I said what I said.
Yes, and he's also fuming in the chat, like Origin at 12 and Challengers at 17.
Joe, there's the Fall Guy at 16, Challengers at 17, and sometimes I think about dying at 18.
No, I don't think. I don't think Challengers would be above under Fall Guy. I haven't seen Challengers yet myself. I usually
You have to watch it first. Robot Dreams at 15. I liked Robot Dreams so much. Love Lies Bleeding at 14. Monkey Man 13. Origin 12. All of Us Strangers 11.
Yeah.
And some.
What's number one?
Number 1 right now is Dune Part 2. That's number 1. And Monsters 2. Poor Things is 3. Monster is the Hirokazu Koreeda film.
I haven't watched it yet. No, okay.
I loved it. I really love that film. So emotional. Such an emotional film. And that's challenging Dune. But I'll have to rewatch it and rewatch Dune. And then I'll decide at the end of the year. Anyways, thank you so much, viewers and listeners, for joining us. Thank you, Joe, for joining us as well. He rage quit after I said that Challengers is at 16 behind Origin. Origin was the one that pissed off Joe.
Pissed him off, yeah.
Thank you, Franco, as always. Always a good time on the podcast. And thank you to you, viewers and listeners. Please make sure to like if you enjoyed the podcast. Subscribe if you have not done so already. And leave a comment. Let us know what you've enjoyed about the podcast today. And with that, I think, Franco, it's time to say adieu. And
Adieu.
see you guys next week. Next week, we'll talk about our experiences with Furiosa.
Oh,
because we,
Furiosa.
unfortunately, get to watch it a week late. Ciao, ciao.
Free Palestine, please. Please.
As